Last year, a young Australian couple did everything right. They went to university, they got decent jobs, they avoided expensive vacations, they even stopped eating out as much. And after years of saving, they finally checked how much they could afford to borrow for a home. The answer shocked them, because even though they had done everything they were told to do, the house they wanted had moved further away than when they first started saving. And they're not alone. Right now, millions of young Australians feel like they're running a race they can never win. No matter how hard they work, no matter how much they save, the dream of owning a home seems to get further away every year. So what happened? Did young people suddenly become bad with money? Are they spending too much? Or is something much bigger going on? Let's find out. For decades, owning a home was considered a normal part of life in Australia. Your parents worked, saved money, bought a house, paid off the mortgage, and eventually owned an asset worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. It wasn't easy, but it felt possible. Today, that's changing. In many parts of Australia, the average home now costs more than 10 times the average annual income. Think about that for a second. Imagine earning $80,000 a year and trying to buy a home worth $800,000 or even more. The numbers simply don't match, and that's where the problem begins. Most people assume house prices rose because Australians suddenly became wealthier, but wages tell a different story. Over the past few decades, house prices have increased much faster than incomes. While salaries slowly moved upward, property prices accelerated like a rocket. And when one line grows faster than the other for years, eventually the gap becomes enormous. That's exactly what happened. But why did house prices rise so much? One reason is supply and demand. Australia's population has continued to grow. More people need homes, but new housing hasn't always been built fast enough to keep up. When demand rises faster than supply, prices increase. It's one of the oldest economic rules in the world. Then there's another factor, interest rates. For many years, borrowing money became incredibly cheap. When loans are cheap, buyers can borrow more, and when buyers can borrow more, they can offer higher prices. The result? House prices rise even further. But here's where things become really interesting. As prices rise, people believe prices will continue rising forever. That belief creates even more demand. Investors enter the market. Buyers rush in before prices climb higher. And suddenly, the market starts feeding itself. Higher prices create more buyers. More buyers create even higher prices. It's a cycle. And young Australians are entering that cycle at the worst possible time. Because while prices have climbed dramatically, saving for a deposit has become harder. Rent is higher, living costs are higher, food costs more, energy bills cost more, insurance costs more, almost everything costs more, which means saving money takes longer than it used to. Imagine trying to fill a bucket with water while someone keeps making the hole at the bottom larger. That's what saving for a home can feel like today. Every year you're saving, but every year prices continue moving and the target gets bigger. This creates something psychologists call moving goalposts. Just when you think you're getting close, the finish line moves again. That feeling is frustrating, and for many young Australians, it's exhausting. But there's another problem nobody talks about enough: social media.
Every day, people scroll through photos of beautiful homes, modern kitchens, luxury apartments, perfect lifestyles, and over time, those images create unrealistic expectations. People begin comparing their lives to what they see online. They feel behind, even when they're doing okay. The pressure becomes emotional as well as financial, and that's dangerous because financial decisions made from frustration are often bad decisions. Some people take on too much debt, others rush into purchases they can't comfortably afford, and some simply give up entirely. But here's the important thing. Not being able to buy a home immediately does not mean you've failed. It doesn't mean you're lazy. It doesn't mean you're bad with money. The economic environment today is very different from the one previous generations experienced. That's simply reality. The real mistake is believing everyone else has figured it out while you're falling behind, because the truth is that millions of Australians are facing the exact same challenge. And while home ownership remains difficult, it doesn't mean wealth is impossible. A home is one way to build wealth. It's not the only way. Investing, building businesses, growing assets over time, these have always been important wealth-building tools. The problem is that many people become so focused on buying a house that they ignore every other path available to them, and that's where opportunities are missed. Because wealth isn't created by owning a particular type of asset. Wealth is created by consistently owning assets that grow over time. That's the bigger lesson. The housing crisis isn't just a story about houses. It's a story about changing economics, changing expectations, and a generation trying to adapt to a world that looks very different from the one their parents grew up in. The young Australians who succeed financially won't necessarily be the ones who buy homes first. They'll be the ones who understand the game they're playing. Because once you understand the rules, you can stop chasing the past and start building your future. And that changes everything.